Hi, BookTube. You can see this lovely festive background. I'm getting ready for Christmas, so I wanted to be in that mood. But also, I wanted a bit of sparkle in the background to mark a completely different kind of celebration. Just about 2 weeks ago, the Heather Reads channel reached its very, very modest milestone of 100 subscribers. Yeah! And I knew from all the content that I had watched before that whenever certain subscriber numbers are reached, the BookTube creator is kind of obligated to make an announcement and do something special. What I mainly saw online were question and answer videos. And I've got to be honest, I have never been able to think of a question for those. A question that didn't sound either A, stupid, B, a lot like the questions already being asked, or C, the answer was none of my business. It's a really tricky thing, asking people questions. So what I want to do instead, I would like to celebrate reaching 100 subscribers on this channel by creating a brand new tag. And I want to call that the I Heart BookTube tag. Okay, this is how it works. I am going to name the top 20 BookTube creators, channels that I have been following. Oh God, some I have been watching since before I decided to create content myself. But they have all been on my subscription list a while, and I try hard to make time to watch these videos. As part of the tag, I will also talk about what drew me to these channels and whether they have inspired me to read something that I never thought I'd read, or think differently, or whatever. It's very important to say also right here that the order of appearance has nothing to do with ranking. If I mention you, my fellow creator, and you happen to be number 11 of 20, that isn't saying anything about your channel compared with number 6 or number 19. This tag is about what we gain from watching content made by others and then thanking them for making it. Okay, so I found that the BookTube channels that I liked the most fell into 5 different categories, benefited me in 5 different ways. And the first category is channels that review the kind of genres that I don't read very much, but I do want to read more, and so I really need and value their recommendations. And those channels are Criminoli. Now, for crime and horror, I always watch Criminoli. Of course, I could get recommendations from the person who watches television, but Ollie spreads his net quite wide, and he does pick up a lot of older titles. So I like that. Books, songs, and other magic. Okay, I've mentioned Gareth's channel so often that viewers may start to think that he's paying me for the publicity, but he's not. However, he was the person who gave that last shout out that pushed me over 100. So, I'm just giving it back, Gareth. I check out Gareth's channel for science fiction recommendations. Books and Bow. I love Willow's channel. There's a lot of personality going on there. I could put her in the category of high personality, but I really love her recommendations for fantasy and also for horror. And then finally, Heather Gregg. Now, Heather introduced me to books about the visual arts and also really unusual nonfiction titles. She's pretty much convinced me as well that I really need to plan a trip to Edinburgh. In fact, I've been thinking about doing that next November when I finish my Read What You Own challenge, because then I can go a bit mad in all the bookshops. And also, all the art galleries she visits, I need to get inside those. The second category is channels that love a deep dive discussion about the books they choose to read. You don't get what I'd call the more common BookTube form, which is, you hold the book up to the camera for, I don't know, a couple of minutes. You mainly talk about whether you liked or disliked it, and then you rate it by whatever means you do your rating. These creators, they're more likely to give me depth of insight and ideas. They rarely DNF books also, and if they have to, they explain their reasons in detail. Okay, so that group consists of, I'm going to put Marion H. and Joseph Francis Burton together. And the only reason I'm grouping them together is because I'm fairly sure that either they discovered me or I discovered them around the same time. They are 2 creators about whom I can say, hand on heart, that I watch every single one of their videos. Marion, you always finish your videos with questions I have to mull over afterwards, sometimes for days, and that is my favorite form of mental recreation. Joe and Marion always leave insightful comments on my videos, and we get thoughtful discussions going, and I respect all the heavy-duty reading that they've both done. I'm particularly envious, actually, of Joe, because he's done a comprehensive reading of everything George Eliot has ever written and gone through the Apocrypha in depth. And then Alana Estelle. Alana is a more recent discovery. She mainly reads classics, but also some contemporary fiction. But I like it because she focuses on one book per video. Yeah, my kind of style, right? And I also love the connections that she finds thematically between novels that you might not think had anything in common. I really enjoyed her latest video looking at Christine Kiefer's novel, The Heart of It All. And I'm going to put a link to that in my description box. Hannah's books. Now, Hannah has this lovely, gentle tone of voice, and her manner commands respect. She makes me think of one of my university tutors, and of course, I always wanted with my tutors to get as much knowledge out of their heads as I could persuade them to give me. Hannah, I tell you what I do need to do is go to your back catalogue now and watch some of the content you made before I came to BookTube. And then there's Bookish Texan. This content is from a former history teacher and currently a writer about American history. Well, history is a must-read category for me. I could have also put this channel in the category of makes me laugh or smile, because his video is BookTube Occult. Oh, it's pricelessly funny. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to leave a link to that in my description box. I also have to admit that one of the reasons I watch his channel is because I've fallen in love with his dog. I think it's a black Great Dane, or maybe a Great Dane cross. But I love it when I can hear it come in and its toenails on the wooden floor. You can just that tap, 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 tap. And then it gets into its favorite chair to sleep in, and that's right behind the camera. I just love that. Category 3 is channels that they won me over with their personalities or their presentation styles. Okay, gotta say, they also read large quantities of very good books, more in fact than I can manage to read. But it's the way they talk about those books that just makes me come back to their content so much more often. And they are The Evening Reader. Priscilla has this, it's a slightly effacing sort of style, like she's surprised that anybody's actually coming to watch her stuff, but oh my goodness, that really won me over. And she reads a lot of fiction titles I have not heard before. So it's also a channel where I tend to discover new authors. Desmond Z. Desmond was one of the first BookTube channels I subscribed to, and it's because he has such a way. He's a natural storyteller. If he's going to summarize the plot of a novel, he does it in a way I've never heard anybody else do. And he makes his own kind of music to go with the telling, and I just love the whole package. Absolutely. He also introduced me to the writer S.A. Cosby, so kudos and gratitude for that. Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. Well, the name was what did it, but Laureen was a very early subscription because her channel name told me exactly what she did. She actually does present most of her content sitting on her staircase, and that was so unpretentious, so appealing. She's a fellow Canadian too, and so, there's that. Middle of the Book March. This is hosted by Kim, and Kim I like because her presentation style is very direct, it's very no-nonsense, but she also gives really detailed, satisfying explanations for what makes a book appeal to her or no. And then we have scally-dandling about the books. This is presented by Roz. Roz is so bubbly and warm. You really feel the friendliness, and what's really fun is when she gets together with Tilly from Tilly's Shelf, because then it gets doubly bubbly. You can tell that they're both excited to share their love of reading with each other, and they kind of just let you listen in. Now, category 4 is channels I chose in order to stay aware of certain social issues, or just because I get a different perspective. And those people are Lindy's Magpie Reads. Lindy is also a Canadian. She's living currently in Vancouver Island. And Lindy, I try not to be jealous, since I grew up in Vancouver. But now and again, when you post photos of the Pacific Coast, I fail. I just fail. Okay. But what I'm really grateful for are your recommendations about work by queer and or First Nations authors. Bookish Realm. Ashley is a librarian, so you know how hot I am on libraries. I subscribed to her channel before I ever made content of my own. I really appreciate how she keeps up with and comments on the pressure coming from political and special interest groups in the United States to challenge and ban books. And Eva's Literary Parlor. Now, I found Eva. She's living in Venezuela. I found her by typing BookTube South America into the YouTube search window, just because I was looking for diverse voices. Eva's a student. She likes classics, and her latest video is a fascinating look at theatre and the supernatural, focusing on the history of Shakespeare's Macbeth. I'm going to leave a link to that in my description box. And Dr. Jason Freeman. Dr. Freeman is a college lecturer. I look to him for book recommendations about Black history and or Black culture, and I also check out his film reviews lately because I found that they're just a nice length for me, and I like how he evaluates the strengths and weaknesses of the film as he sees them. And the final category is channels that have so often made me smile or laugh, and they are Roy Reads Anything. Roy, Dr. Jenny, you have given myself and the person who watches television many moments of joy and hilarity. Now, Roy searches out the furthest forgotten corners of popular literature, and he brings books and magazines and comics out from the obscurity of time and into the light. Dr. Jenny writes and reads poetry, and she shames me with the beauty of those poems so that I nag myself to stop being a coward and read more poetry. And actually, there should be a sixth category, really, and that is BookTube creators that I miss. I miss Daniel at Guilty Feet. Daniel, I miss you riding your bookcase ladder across the screen. I miss the little songs you sing and how you talk about having no rhythm, although it seems to me that you've at least got a little, if not more. And I miss the book calls you used to do, late at night where you had to whisper to the camera so you didn't wake up anybody else. I totally understand why you're not making content at the moment. I just wanted to shout out and say thank you so much for the smiles that you've made me smile. There, those are my top 20 BookTube creators that I want to thank as I reach my 100 subscriber milestone. I am going to tag every channel that I mentioned today, so please feel free to draw up your own I Heart BookTube videos. I mentioned 20 channels, but I'm not imposing that number on this tag, okay? You could thank as few as, 2, 3, 5, 50. Please yourself. Please yourself. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Life is very hectic, of course, at the moment as the holidays draw close, but I hope to have another review ready before Christmas. Until then, happy reading. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.